Hey guys, so I haven't done a tutorial in a while, and I actually was just playing around with some things today, trying to, I don't know, get creative, and I just decided that I'd play around with duplicating some sounds that I'd already heard. And so one thing that came to mind, a bass that I really like, is Crizzly's kind of signature bass sound. And I'm thinking specifically from his remix of Dreams track, Go Hard, and I'll just play you the clip of the original here, and then I'll play you the clip of mine. They don't sound exactly the same. I didn't really want to spend enough time to tweak it and get it exactly, like Crizzly's. Plus, you don't really want your synth to be exactly like that. And I don't think I would ever use this synth because it is pretty signature to him. And I just feel like that would be, stepping on his toes. But anyways, so here's the clip from the original.
Get your hands up!
Okay, so you get the idea. I didn't get that little vibrato kind of note roll there exactly right either. So, you're just going to have to bear with me. But here's the synth that I actually made with the same notes, or generally speaking. And it's not terribly hard to make. If you know something about how Mord Fustang, or how you can do Mord Fustang's kind of bass, where he's got like the saw wave and then the white noise, and then if you use Ableton Saturator, you can kind of get his bass. If you know that sound, then Crizzly's bass is not hard to make at all, because you can actually use that as your starting point and work with it from there. So basically what I'll do here is I'll just kind of show you, and you can pause your screen to kind of copy things if you want, what I did. But I started off with an instance of Sylenth. Oops. And if you initialize the preset, oh, I forgot I had those on. If you initialize the preset, you are just going to have a saw wave on your first oscillator here. So yeah, basically you just drop in an octave, voice is up to 8, and kind of the key thing here, if you're not familiar with that Mord Fustang bass thing that I was talking about earlier, is basically having this oscillator with the saw and this one with the white noise. And together by themselves, the white noise and the saw sound weird, obviously. And I'll just show you here. So, I mean, you just have a saw and white noise. Now, you dial the white noise back to basically nothing. So you just have a little bit of that white noise peeking through. And then the real trick of this whole kind of thing comes in your use of Ableton Saturator. And most importantly, that it be on the wave shaper setting. And from there, it was really just playing around with things, but you're going to bring the curve up. So you're going to squash that. You can hear it. Straight. That's really pretty important. And then also adjusting this. Now if I drop it an octave. Anyways, just play with those settings, and that's kind of the basic. And then you go over to your B section on Sylenth, and this is where I played around with things. There's a little hint of like a wetness. I don't know if that's the best way to describe it, but that's how I would describe it in his synth that I didn't have before I added this wave to it. Originally, I just had the saw at 2 voices at 3 octaves higher. I don't know. So this is just kind of a weird thing. Obviously, another really important thing, it's going to sound really straight and not like his bass very much if you don't add vibrato. And in Sylenth, the way I do so, I don't know if there's another way, is I actually did it right here, this LFO, and just crank the rate up to about 1 o'clock. And then you're going to bring the gain up to the lowest. It's actually at 0.05, which is the lowest setting that it'll go. And that means that it's only going to sweep through pitch ranges that are, I don't know, 0.05 variance from the actual pitch of the note that you're playing. Otherwise, it's going to go crazy and go all over the place. Or at least I think that's what that means. And then, yeah, I have it set on both the pitch of B and the pitch of A, where B are these two and A is the bass layer with the white noise, I believe. And just not as much on A. That you can't hear as much, so it's not as important. I actually had that off. I just had it on these 2 oscillators, which is your high end, which is, what you're hearing mostly anyways, and feeling the bass more. And then to just make it closer to his sound, I played around with these 2 mod envelopes, and these are basically the settings that got me pretty close pretty quick. So yeah, you're just going to have to copy those. Make sure your bend range is at 12, because I'll show you the automation that I have also on the clip. Portamento just below half. You can have it on mono legato depending on how your notes are sequenced or whatever. And just bring this knob down to slide instead of normal. Where normal will only do the portamento if the notes are overlapping. Slide will do it regardless. So just sequential notes, it'll slide between them. So yeah, that's basically that. So that gets us Sylenth and saturator. If you look at my settings here, you just copy them, bring the drive up a little bit, the drive here 100%, curve at about 64, depth at 100. Yeah, and then I did EQ it to just boost the crap out of the high end, basically to make it sharper, a little crisper on the top. And then Omicide. Now, if you don't have Omicide, don't worry about it, because it does affect the sound a lot in this case, but you can work around it. You can do things with built-in Ableton stuff, which I'll show you here. And all I did was just throw Omicide on with its default setting. So with it, and without it. So it doesn't sound terrible without it, but it sounds closer with it on there. But I actually have an A-B set up between having Omicide on, which it is now, and having these 3 on. And what these 3 are is I have an amp, a utility just to bring the volume back down because it got a little loud, and another EQ, which took out some of the low end. It basically just ramped it, as you can see. So I'll A-B those. So you can see, that it's not quite the same, but you can get a similar effect. And so yeah, basically I had it on blues. You can play around with these settings. I just did this right before I started the tutorial because I figured, hey, some people might not have Omicide, or whatever. So I just just try with some stock Ableton things. And so I didn't play with it as much as I should have to get it to sound the way I had it sounding with Homicide. But I think if you played with these settings some more, maybe added an overdrive or various other plugins, compressed the signal a little bit more as well, you could get it to about the same. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the actual sound itself. And now I'll just go in here quick to the clip. These were the specific notes, but more importantly, on my envelope section, I actually use the pitch bend here at the very beginning to pitch up from an octave lower to the actual octave that I'm playing the notes at. And it gives it that. And actually, probably in your mix, that would be this onset of the note right here and right here would actually be cut out because you'd have it sidechain to your kick, most likely, I would assume, anyways. So having that slide doesn't even necessarily matter. And then this little pitch up on this high note to an octave higher and then back down. Just letting the onset have a little bit of an attack, with this ramp here, and the release have just a little bit of a ramp down too. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I hope this was helpful for you guys, and you can play around with Crizzly's bass. I wouldn't suggest using it too much because people would be like, "Hey, it sounds like Crizzly," and they'd be like, "Oh, I stole it from this tutorial." Whatever. I guess do what you want. But yeah, cheers.